Ezekiel 3:10. Then he said, Son of man, remember everything I say to you. Listen closely, and go to your exiled countrymen and talk to them. Tell them, the Lord Yahweh says this, whether they listen or not. The Spirit lifted me up, and behind me I could hear a tumultuous shouting. Blessed be the glory of Yahweh in his dwelling place. This was the sound of the animals' wings beating against each other, and the sound of the wheels beside them, a tumultuous shouting. The Spirit lifted me up and took me. My heart, as I went, overflowed with bitterness and anger, and the hand of Yahweh lay heavy on me. I came to Tel Abib, to the exiles beside the river Chebar, where they were then living, and I stayed with them for 7 days like a man stunned. After 7 days, the word of Yahweh was addressed to me as follows. Son of man, I have appointed you as a sentry to the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from me, warn them in my name. If I say to a wicked man, you are to die, and you do not warn him, if you do not speak and warn him to renounce his evil ways and so live, then he shall die for his sin, but I will hold you responsible for his death. If, however, you do warn a wicked man, and he does not renounce his wickedness and evil ways, then he shall die for his sin, but you yourself will have saved your life. When the upright man renounces his integrity to do evil, and I set a trap for him, he too shall die, since you failed to warn him. Just a minute. But since you failed to warn him, he shall die for his sin, and the integrity he practiced will no longer be remembered. But I will hold you responsible for his death. If, however, you warn the upright man not to sin, and he abstains from sinning, he shall live, thanks to your warning, and you too will have saved your life. God is laying additional responsibility on Ezekiel. Everyone is responsible ultimately for his own sins, but Ezekiel is placing the responsibility God is placing the responsibility of warning these people on Ezekiel. God knew that Ezekiel could do it. That's why he chose him. When did we start? What time?
We started about 10 to 7, 5 to 7. We've got about 55 minutes.
Okay.
Just to continue a theme, another echo, that was the same chariot ride that Elijah took.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not getting nearly as far as I thought I would, but oh well.
There's one difference. Elijah wrote the chariot, Ezekiel did not. He saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when he went to Chebar?
Yeah, it seems to be in his writing.
Well, I agree with you. And perhaps he went to Jerusalem, but he didn't go to heaven. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. And now, verse 22. While I was there, the hand of Yahweh came on me. He said, Get up, go out into the valley. I am going to speak to you. I got up and went out into the river, out into the valley. The glory of Yahweh was resting there, like the glory I had seen by the river Chebar, and I prostrated myself. The Spirit of Yahweh then entered me, and it made me stand up, and spoke to me. He said, Go and shut yourself in your house. Son of man, bonds are now about to be laid on you. I will make You will be bound with them and not be able to mix with others. I am going to make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth. You will be dumb. You will stop warning them, for they are a set of rebels. When I speak to you, I shall open your mouth, and you will tell them, the Lord Yahweh says this. Whoever will listen, let him listen. Whoever will not, let him not, for they are a set of rebels. The phrase, the Lord Yahweh says this, is repeated over 120 times in the book. I think that this is really important because it shows that Ezekiel is not making this up. It emphasizes to the audience that it's truly Yahweh's message. Also, the Hebrew word for Lord, the Lord Yahweh says this, means master or commander. Right? It means commander, right? Mm-hmm. So God is Ezekiel's commander. It also reminds the Israelites that God is in control. God is master of their circumstances, even though it definitely appears to them that everything is out of control. God is still in control. So Ezekiel's really saying here, Commander Yahweh says this. Don't you like that? Yeah. Are you willing to split half an hour?
Noah, can I make a comment that, the first assignment about, that you were reading about a righteous man and his blood on Ezekiel's shoulders. In the warning, when you look at the fact that God was sticking his tongue up there and he could only open it when God was speaking was a gift to him. So that if your tongue was tied, seriously, a fasting where you can't talk and then your mouth could be opened, that makes that assignment a lot easier. It really does. And God is opening your mouth for that purpose in that time. So even the fact that the blood is a scary thought to have on your shoulders, God provided by keeping his mouth shut. How wonderful that would be to have that gift every once in a while.
It's really important because we're tempted to open our mouths all the time. And therefore, very little of the Lord comes out of our mouth. What comes out of our mouth is about God, but not from him. Yes. And usually what comes out of our mouth isn't even about God. It's about us.
Okay. Oh, there's one thing that I need to go over. Well, do you mind if I go over chapter 8 briefly? Chapter 8 and 9. Okay. Chapter 8 and 9. I'm going to summarize chapter 8. As Ezekiel is in his home, surrounded by the elders of Judah, Yahweh appears to him in a vision. Yahweh takes him by the hair to the temple in Jerusalem and shows him progressively worse and worse abominations committed in his temple. Finally, Yahweh shows him 25 men with their backs to the temple, worshiping the sun. Then he tells Ezekiel that he is angry and will show neither pity nor mercy